Well, hello and welcome. My music stopped. What happened there? Oh, it's been crazy here today. I've been quite busy doing programming and getting ready for all sorts of other events that are coming up soon. So let's get straight into the old thingy bobbins. Let's zip me up into the corner here. So, an introduction to IT contracting. Contracting is quite important. So, getting started with contracting. You may have seen this before if you've seen any of my material. It takes a little while to get some experience as an IT contractor, and there are a number of big steps in between that you can do to help yourself become a contractor. But who am I? I've been in IT since about 95, well, July 95 if you want to be exact, and I swerved management to stay technical. And so I went into contracting in 2001, and I've done DevOps stuff since about 2015, which seems like only yesterday, but actually 8 years ago. Where did the time go? Anyways, so the 7 steps to contracting are: number 1, get skills, take courses, or be an apprenticeship to gain a fundamental knowledge and skills. So the route that I took was to be a trainee. I was a trainee for about 2 years. And then I got, promoted as a contractor. Don't get promoted. You just go into a different contract. But as a permie, I was a trainee, and I got promoted as a technician. Ooh. Anyway, a bit more about that in a minute. So then we got the legal setup. Register your business. As a contractor, you have to have a business. And the basic tools, we need some tools and equipment, right, to operate and do our thing. And then, we've got some animations on this slide. Experience. Begin with small projects and, grow that experience. Find your first clients. Networking and speaking to people, as well as looking at job boards and quality work. That's what we want as a contractor. You live and die by the quality of the work you just delivered, and learn and grow continuously, because IT moves. If anything else is constant, it ain't IT. New stuff comes along, new trends, new technologies, and we have to keep up with all those thingies. So, like I said, I was getting ahead of myself. I get so excited doing these, I don't know why. But you need to get skills. You need to start off as a trainee in the early days. It's not going to be much money, but then you're starting the first steps into the career. I don't know if you've ever played The Sims. I've been playing quite a lot of Sims 3 recently, and in there they have career steps step out for you. You'll see we'll start at the beginning and they get paid next to nothing, and they start at level 1 of the career. This is a bit like that. But then by the time you get to level 10, you're earning some serious day rate, and you can enjoy a much higher level of living if that's what you want to do with the money. So, trainee, got promoted to technician. Onto this second rung of the ladder, as it were, engineer status. And, you can be an engineer for 3 to 5 years. What are you doing in those 3 to 5 years? Well, you're learning all sorts of stuff. I know some people that say, hey, I've been an engineer now for 2 years and I know everything. I'm a senior DevOps. I'm like, yeah, what does that mean? And they'll go into some detail about whatever tech stack they've been working on. And I'm like, whoa, slow down there, cowboy. That's not the only tech stack out there. What do you know about AWS ECS? What do you know about Google Web Apps? What do you know about the Azure stack? And they kind of look at me a bit blank and go, oh no. And it's easy to fall into that trap. It's easy to think that you're a big fish when your pond is very small, when you're only working with one stack. But to be a senior engineer, 6 years experience, what we need to be at in order to begin our contracting is you need that level of experience across a number of tech stacks. being able to mix it up a whole load of different ways. Whether it's a PHP server running on Google, or whether it's Scala apps running a JavaScript front end sitting on a Kubernetes cluster. There's a world of difference between those two and how you might attack and deploy different things. And that's why it takes 6 years to see these different permeations of different stuff. You can't pick this stuff up in 2-3 weeks, because that's just how long it takes you to pick up one stack. Then you need to move to another stack. And whilst you're in your job, you might not be able to have the opportunity to work on these different stacks as you go. And in my career, even as a permie, I tended to move around every 18 months to 2 years. This gave me a different breadth of skills and knowledge, different servers. In the time when I was a permie, before the DevOps stuff, I was doing the stuff with DOS and then Windows 3.11. That turned into Windows NT. I know, Windows platform. I'm okay now though. And then moving on to servers. There were Novell servers. I'm not sure if any of the young'uns in the audience know what a Novell server is anymore. That kind of got taken over by Microsoft eventually. But in the early days, Novell was basically what you would have as a server, as a file server, as a print server. It was everywhere. And then, like I said, Microsoft kind of took over, and then the next stage from that is now we've got Linux file servers, NFS, or just web servers, and that seems to run the rest of the internet. But if you're still in that corporate environment, you're probably still very familiar with Samba shares and Windows servers. Again, different stacks, and you can't know all of this in a couple of years because you have to have working experience, seeing stuff go wrong, fixing the stuff when it needs fixing, and all that kind of thing. And then when you've got that mountain experience, at least 6 years, then as a contractor, you'll be confident enough to go into any customer and you'll have a clue about what they're running. You'll have the notion of what different things they're going to run into, the pain points that they have. And likewise, I have all of this experience too, so I can help you on a technical level fill those gaps, and I can also help you along on the more contractor type stuff, I suppose, like setting up a limited company, the legal setup, what that needs to look like. There's going to be various bits and bobs that you need. A limited company is just one of the parts in this thing of being a contractor. You could be a sole trader. You might have even heard of a sole trader. But if you're contracting, then there's a certain level of contracts that will work for as a sole trader, and that's okay. But then there's another level of contracts where that's not going to work. They expect you to be a limited company. They expect you to be VAT registered and various other bits and bobs. Basic tools of being an IT contractor. There are some. Some of it's hardware, some of it is software. Hardware-wise, well, you need a laptop or a desktop. I mean, I'm actually running off a laptop here because why wouldn't you? A laptop is pretty spanky and fast and lots of memory and all that sort of stuff, like a desktop used to be. And this moves. I can take it with me. So, I'm going to London shortly. Not today. I've had a big day already. But I'll be able to take my work with me. I can work on the train, work a bit offline. I can deliver the presentation when I'm there in London, and it's all on the same hardware that I've got with me. But we're talking about DevOps. Some of that involves infrastructure, and there's a good way of having some home networks that you could develop. Just behind me, I've got a couple of servers running away, and they're doing various bits and bobs. One of them is like basically a Docker hosts various images and things like that, but as a server side of things. So I can test various interactions between microservices and all that sort of stuff. A home server network will be useful for you to practice those other maybe the upcoming technologies that aren't on your current work or project that you want to start playing with and get that experience. And software, same again for the software. There's going to be various bits that you need. You need an operating system. I mean, the hardware is pretty useless without an operating system, but you can choose which operating system you run. In my experience right now, there's a lot of people that are running the Apple hardware with the Apple operating system, and that seems to be very popular. I don't go down that route. I've got a Windows laptop, I know, but I'm a gamer. What can you do? Sitting on top of the Windows laptop, I run VMs, and each VM then has a separate operating system. So I've got stuff like Mint, which is a Linux flavor, quite literally. And I've also got Ubuntu, which is another very popular flavor with my colleagues and friends. And then on top of that, you'll need an IDE. For those that don't know what an IDE is, it's an integrated development environment. And there's loads of IDEs depending on what development you're doing. I spend a lot of time inside two. One's IntelliJ, which is a more general Java-y kind of thing. So if I'm doing Jenkins jobs, involves a lot of Groovy, so that's Java, that kind of helps there. And then the other side of the fence I'm sitting on will be Python. So I've got PyCharm as well. It happens to be built on IntelliJ. JetBrains, they do some great projects. They're not plugging this, but I enjoy using them. So they do the IntelliJ and they do PyCharm. They also do WebStorm. What else have I got? If I'm doing Golang, they've got an editor for that as well. All integrated development environments. So they're based on the language, and then they give you the tools where you can debug, and it can help you program and stuff. A little bit like ChatGPT. In fact, I think some of them actually plug into the AI tools that we've got. And the other thing I mentioned is VM. Virtual machines is what I mean by that. So when I'm working with a client specifically, they'll get me to sign a non-disclosure agreement, amongst other things, when I work for them. This means that any code or stuff that I produce for them whilst working on their contract actually belongs to them. And that's fair, that's what they're paying me for. They don't want license fees from me after I've left for them to continue using the code that I've written, although that would be nice. The lawyers don't like that. So I run stuff in a VM, all the customer stuff is sitting on that VM, and then when that customer is no longer a customer of mine, I can then delete all of that stuff, including the VM itself. Clean break. Then should they want work for me in the future, then yeah, okay, they'll have to pay me for half a day to settle that stuff up again. But that's just one of the costs of unboarding and reboarding, well, whatever you want to call it. Starting and stopping a contract. There's always loads of setup at the beginning and some stuff at the end. And then experience. I think I've chatted a lot about experience already. Experience is what gives you your unique insights, what gives you your real power, what gives you your energy, your vibes, and ultimately your worth to the customers that you're working with. You get this from previous roles and at the beginning from side projects. So my break into DevOps, as it were, was a side project that I was running with a couple of friends that was a web service, software as a service, I suppose you'd call it now. For a low down monthly fee, you can log into our portal and it will do stuff for you. You type a few things in and it will create invoices, hooray! It will create reports, hooray! And that means you do less stuff. Customers are happy, we're happy. It was hosted in AWS, I got a load of experience. Awesome, stick that on the CV, and that will then wow and impress any future people that want to hire you. And then make sure you've got online evidence. That way they can corroborate all the fine stuff that you're saying. If you are committing to GitHub projects, then your GitHub activity will say that you've done that, even if the repo is private. It won't tell them what you did exactly, but they can see that you've got a GitHub account and things. Those side projects may be useful for demonstrating that. Of course, if it's an actual product like I developed, you can go along to the actual website and see it, and know that I'm not making this stuff up. That's very important. There's an awful lot of competition out there, not from other people for IT jobs, but from bots and things that are applying to IT jobs. It makes recruitment very tricky. So get to meet those recruiters. In fact, find your next clients. There's the jobbing type thing on Fiverr, where you're doing small jobs for lots and lots of different people. There's the job boards, CW jobs, Computer World jobs, something like that. Remote.com by Mr. Levels, and other job boards are available. Depending on the current trends, they come and go, a bit like search engines, and you can find contracts on there. They usually tell you what the contract involves. They don't usually tell you who the customer is, although sometimes you can guess. And sometimes they tell you what the day rate is as well. To be honest, if it doesn't say day rate, I don't even bother replying to it, because, that's about as useful as putting market rate on the job. Who knows what that means? Depends who you ask, right? And LinkedIn, connecting with people online, was a thing about connecting people in the same room. Networking, going to meetings, that kind of thing. I've not listed that here, but that also works. But LinkedIn allows you to have those online interactions without necessarily pressing the flesh as salespeople do. Anyway, talking to agents that hire, it's their job to weed out all of those bots and stuff and find the real people. And you've got lots to value, you've got lots to offer to them. So, extend your hand and say, hi, I'm here and I can do this stuff. Look at my LinkedIn profile, blah, blah, blah. Going back to the portfolio that I mentioned. And then focus on quality. Reputation as a contractor is everything. You're only as good as your last job, as someone might say. The best jobs that you can get are those that have been offered to you, headhunted, if you will, because of your reputation. It's been a while, but yeah, some people have approached me and said, I've heard you've done some excellent stuff at so-and-so. Would you like to see what we're doing, and maybe we can work together? That's got to be the easiest way to get into a project. So make sure your reputation is good. Make sure there's plenty of evidence if you're delivering good stuff, and those opportunities should flow towards you. And then learning and growing. You should never stay still, especially in IT. There's always something new. What is the new trend at the moment? I suppose it would be serverless. A couple of years before that, it was Kubernetes. A couple of years before that, it was VMs. So, these things just change and move and stuff. So you need to stay up to date with things. And to do that, obviously you're taking on new skills and learning how to use new tools and grow your network. You're going to get your next project from somebody that you've spoken to, either in person or online. So as well as growing your skills, you need to grow the people that you're speaking with. And that is mostly what I'm going to say about the 7 steps. I have got a lovely diagram here that talks about compliance, contracts and cash flow, how you can be a confident contractor in your space. IT contracting is giving me a great lifestyle. I want that for you. And with all of this gubbins in place, we can work together and send you on your journey to what you want to get. Let me know what you're after, and how we can get there is up to me. So when do you start? What are the 3 C's of contracting? They're on the last slide. What are the questions you need to ask? Sometimes somebody's not going to tell you what those questions are. But when somebody does let you know what those questions are and gives you the answers as well, because that's important, right? It all starts to click together and make sense. So if you think you're ready to become a contractor, have a go at our quiz. It will tell you and me where those gaps are. Once you've done that quiz, you'll be invited to join on a one-to-one call with me where we can discuss how we can work together. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time.